The morning I realized trouble had found me, the lake was still as polished glass. I was standing on my old cedar dock, Father's flag shifting behind me in the breeze, when a voice cut through the silence like a nail dragged across wood. "You're about to lose everything." I turned. A woman in a dark blazer, heels sinking in the soil, marched toward me, clutching a thick folder. Her jaw was tight, eyes unblinking. Something in the way she scanned the shoreline told me she wasn't here to visit. In that moment, a knot formed in my chest. Something was coming for my quiet life, and it wasn't going to be small. My name is Clay Morton. Middle-aged, tired of city noise, and recently owner of a quiet 5-acre lake my father used to bring me to when I was a kid. I had bought it legally. Clean title, no ties to anyone. At least that's what I believed. The woman stopped 3 feet from me. "I'm Linda Harrow," she said. No handshake. "President of Pinecrest Meadows HOA for 8 years. HOA. My brow tightened. This lake was never part of any community. "You're violating 17 recorded regulations," she snapped. "And you owe a little over $100,000 in past dues?" My coffee nearly slipped from my hand. "This land isn't part of your association." She smirked, like she had practiced that expression in a mirror. "Then explain this." She shoved the folder into my chest. Paper corners bit my skin. Inside was a supposed amendment claiming my lake had been absorbed into their HOA in the late 90s. My stomach dropped. The signature at the bottom looked too clean, too even, too perfect. I scanned the notary page. Something felt off. The ink shade didn't match the rest of the print, and there was a faint smudge in the lower corner, like someone tried to hide a photocopy mark. My brain, used to debugging code for decades, caught mismatches instantly. Linda shifted her weight impatiently. "Payment is due in 30 days. After that, we place a lien and move toward foreclosure." She said foreclosure, the way some people say desserts, low, deliberate, confident. I lifted my head. "Where's the original document?" Her eye twitched. "Very small, but enough. Not your concern. The HOA keeps official records." While she spoke, her gaze flicked barely noticeable toward the eastern shoreline. I followed it and spotted narrow orange stakes driven into the soil. I hadn't placed them. Someone had been planning something on my land. She noticed me noticing and stiffened. "You'll cooperate," she said, "one way or another." Her heels cracked against the wooden planks as she stormed away. The lake rippled behind her as though the water itself recoiled. I stood alone a few seconds, anger warming my neck. How many people had she steamrolled? How many believed they had no choice? I called my father, who spent 30 years working as a county records clerk. "Dad," I said, staring at the stakes in the soil. "Someone just tried to steal the lake." He exhaled slowly. "Tell me everything." That evening, a white envelope arrived with lawyer branding on the corner. Inside was a cold threat wrapped in legal phrasing. "Pay $130,000 or we foreclose." But what shook me wasn't the threat. It was the CC line and email copied to a development corporation I'd never heard of. Why would a developer care about HOA dues? Something deeper was moving beneath the surface. The next morning, I drove to the county office. Dorothy, a patient clerk with silver hair, retrieved my full deed history from 1970 to 1997. Clean. No HOA. No covenants. No amendments. Then came the supposed 1998 amendment Linda had waved around. Compared the signature with earlier documents from the same owner. Mismatch. Pressure marks were different. The flow of pen strokes didn't match. It looked traced. I took the document to Dorothy. "The notary, can you check him?" She typed, paused, frowned. "Clay, this man's commission expired years before this date, and he died 2 years before this was supposedly notarized." A cold rush hit me. A dead man doesn't notarize anything. Someone forged a legal document to claim my land. That night, I traced Florida statutes with trembling focus. Filing a fraudulent deed amendment wasn't just unethical, it was a felony. Still, one question gnawed at me. Why go through this trouble for a lake? I called the previous owners, a retired couple living out west. We never signed anything with any HOA, the husband said firmly. They tried buying the lake from us 3 times. We refused every time. 3 times. Linda hadn't suddenly discovered an interest in my shoreline. She'd been after it for years. This wasn't about dues. This was a long game. I returned to the lake that evening. The orange survey stakes stood like teeth along the bank. Wind pressed against my shirt. My father's flag snapped against its pole. The quiet didn't feel peaceful anymore. It felt watched. I contacted the one attorney known for dismantling abusive HOAs, Rachel Carr. Her office walls were lined with case photos, smiling homeowners standing over defeated board members. She listened without interrupting as I laid out each piece. When I finished, she tapped her pen. "This isn't a fee dispute," she said. "This is a coordinated attempt to seize private land." She leaned forward. "Based on these forged documents, someone stands to make serious money." She opened her laptop, searched public filings, and found something chilling. In 2019, the HOA added a clause giving them authority to charge fees on any community-designated water feature. The vote was approved by 4 homeowners. Their bylaws required 35 for changes affecting property rights. 4 people had carved a loophole big enough to steal a lake. Rachel closed her laptop. "I'm taking your case, no fee." Her eyes tightened. "But you need to understand they won't quit quietly." I nodded. "Neither will I." That night, as I locked my cabin door, a message appeared on my phone. "Stop digging. This can still end peacefully." It didn't feel like a warning. It felt like a threat wrapped in a whisper. Wind rattled the cedar fence outside. Gravel crunched under something I couldn't quite see. My hand hovered near the light switch. Someone didn't want me to fight back. The next morning, I woke before sunrise. The lake was wrapped in fog, drifting low across the water like silent breath. Father's flag tapped the pole gently, that familiar rhythm that used to calm me. Today, it only reminded me that someone had stepped onto this land believing I wouldn't fight. I poured coffee into my old dented mug and saw tire impressions in the gravel near the pine line fresh. Deep and definitely not mine. Whoever left that message on my phone had been near the house. Rachel called as I walked along the shoreline. "Clay, I stayed up all night combing through HOA filings," she said. "There's a pattern. 3 different properties each, one pulled into bogus amendments over the past decade." Oh, my chest tightened. Did they all fight it? 2 gave up. 1 lost their land in foreclosure. Her voice hardened. "This isn't amateur fraud. It's a system." I stopped near the orange stakes again. A breeze shifted through the trees, carrying that faint metallic scent of damp earth. Something big was planned here. Something expensive. If this was only about dues, they wouldn't take these risks. Rachel cleared her throat. "There's a development corporation linked to the HOA through backdoor channels. Lakeshore Dominion. They've been pushing for resort-style expansions in this county for years, meaning your lake might be the missing piece in a multi-million-dollar project." The stakes, the pressure, the forged amendment. Pieces snapped together like brittle twigs. I wasn't just a target. I was an obstacle. As if on cue, a black SUV rolled slowly down the dirt path. Dust curled under the tires. A tall man with slicked-back gray hair stepped out, adjusting his cufflinks like he was late for a board meeting rather than trespassing. "Morning," he said, smile to polished. "You're Mr. Morton, and you are?" "Mark Tenon, consultant for Lakeshore Dominion." His eyes moved across my land. "Evaluating it the way someone evaluates a purchase they already think they own?" "I heard you're having a disagreement with Pinecrest Meadows," he continued. "Thought maybe we could talk before things escalate." His tone was friendly, but his shoulders were stiff. and he blinked to frequently psychology of a man trying to mask pressure. I folded my arms. Strange that a developer is concerned about an HOA's private dispute. He chuckled, though it didn't reach his eyes. We care about community stability. Translation: we care about our project timeline. He lowered his voice. Look, Clay, a lake like this? It's wasted on one person. We could offer you a generous buyout. I'm not selling. He exhaled, frustration leaking through his grin. Then let me give you advice: stop pushing. These things get complicated. His threat slipped out, disguised as concern. When he left, Rachel called again. I need you at my office, she said. Now, her office lights were dim, the blinds half closed. A file sat on the table, thicker than the one Linda had slammed into my chest. Rachel pointed at the top page. Bank records. A whistleblower sent them anonymously. The HOA has a hidden account. She flipped the page to reveal transactions labeled lake usage assessments, money homeowners had paid for decades. None of this is in their public reports, she said. And look here. A wire transfer from Lakeshore Dominion, $45,000 to the HOA treasurer personally. My jaw tightened. Bribe money? Looks that way. Cold anger crawled across my shoulders. They weren't just greedy, they were organized. Rachel leaned forward. Clay, this is big enough for state investigators, but we need one more piece. Proof the amendment was never recorded. I already checked. Dorothy said it didn't exist. She checked the main chain. We need the microfilm archives. That's where older documents live. I didn't hesitate. Let's go. The archivist, an elderly man with a soft voice, guided us to a basement room where old records hummed inside outdated machines. Rachel loaded the reel labeled for the 1998 filings. Frame after frame flickered through the viewer. Deeds, transfers, covenants, but no amendment concerning my lake. Rachel's breath caught. There it is, she whispered. Or rather, there it isn't. The amendment Linda used had never existed in county records, meaning it wasn't misplaced. It was fabricated. I felt pressure in my chest, the kind I used to get when debugging a system and finally spotting the catastrophic flaw hidden among code. Rachel printed the blank microfilm frame as evidence. This is enough to tear their case apart, she said. But not enough, I replied. They won't stop because they think they're untouchable. As we walked out, an email notification pinged on my phone. Sender, Pinecrest Meadows HOA subject. Notice of lien feed filed it. A fraudulent lien on my property. Rachel clenched her jaw. They're panicking. This is how cowards behave when the truth gets close. That night, I found a letter wedged under my cabin, door handwritten, shaky. She's done this before. Don't trust anyone on the board. They ruined families. Be careful. No signature. No return address. Wind brushed through the trees. Rattling branches like quiet warnings. I shut the door, my hand lingering on the knob. This lake used to be peaceful. Now even the silence felt loaded. The next day, my old friend, Ted, retired contractor, local historian, met me by the dock. His boots sank into the mud as he knelt to inspect the orange stakes. These aren't HOA markers, he said. They're developer survey stakes. They're planning structures. Cabins or docks, most likely. My stomach hardened. So they're already treating this as theirs. Ted nodded. They think you'll fold. Others did. Not this time. He handed me a faded brochure. I found this in my mailbox months ago. A glossy rendering of a lakeside resort, my lake at the center. Ted tapped the image. This is why they're coming after you. Before I could respond, a car door slammed behind us. Linda's Mercedes. Dust swirling behind her like smoke. She marched toward us, eyes sharp, lips pinched. You're trespassing on community property, she snapped. This is my land, I said. Not for long. Her voice trembled not with fear, but with desperation. Then she leaned in, whispering, You should have taken the offer. Her mask had finally cracked. The morning of the HOA special meeting came with a gray sky hanging low over the pines. Wind skimmed across the lake in thin waves, brushing against my porch as if urging me forward. I sat with my father's old mug cupped between my palms, tracing the welded crack near the handle. Funny how something repaired can still outlast everything meant to break it. I tightened my jacket and walked toward my truck. Gravel shifted under my boots with that familiar crunch. But today it felt like stepping toward a storm I had no choice but to face. Rachel met me at the community hall, simple brick building. Old roof vents rattling in the wind. She carried that leather briefcase packed with everything we had gathered. Forged signatures, dead notary records, microfilm proof, hidden bank account statements, whistleblower documents. All of it. You ready? She asked. As ready as anyone walking into a lion's den, I said. Good, she replied, because they have no idea what's about to hit them. Inside, the crowd was restless. Over 100 residents packed shoulder to shoulder. Faces tight, murmurs sharp. Many of them still believed I owed their HOA a fortune. Linda stood near the podium, his perfectly pressed blazer, hair pulled tight like a bowstring. Her eyes widened just an inch when she saw me walking beside Rachel. Fear. She hit it fast, but not fast enough. Next to her stood the treasurer, Mark Tenon, the man who blinked too much when he lied. He avoided my eyes entirely. The room quieted. Linda tapped the microphone. We're here to resolve the matter of delinquent lake dues and vote on foreclosure proceedings. Foreclosure. She said it like a victory she had already counted. But today wasn't her day. Rachel whispered. When it's your turn, stick to the sequence. Evidence first. Motive second. Then the kill shot. Linda called my name with a smug smile. Mr. Morton, you have 5 minutes to speak. I walked to the front. Faces watched me like I was a criminal on trial. A few muttered angry things under their breath. I wasn't angry at them. They'd been fed lies for years. I clicked the projector remote. Slide 1 appeared. County cadastral map. 1985. My lake-marked private parcel. Not under HOA jurisdiction. A ripple moved through the crowd, small at first. I spoke slowly, porch narration steady. This land was never part of Pinecrest Meadows. Not in 85. Not in 95. Not now. Slide 2. The forged 1998 amendment. Notary. A man dead 2 years before the stamp date. Gasps. Confusion murmured through the rows. This document, I said, is a fake. The notary died long before it was created. There is no original. Only photocopies. Linda's neck stiffened. Her lips tightened like she was swallowing acid. Slide 3. Microfilm. Image from county archives showing that no amendment was ever filed. This is the county's official archive. No amendment exists. It never did. Slide 4. Hidden bank account statements. 6 digits worth of lake assessment fees. Stolen from residents for amenities the HOA never owned. People shifted, some angry. Some realizing they were victims too. Slide 5. Wire transfer from Lakeshore Dominion to the treasurer. $45,000. Now the room erupted. He stole from us. Someone shouted. Where did all that money go? You told us those fees were required. Mark's face went pale, blinking rapid fire. And then came the knockout. Slide 6. A whistleblower document proving the HOA planned to sell community lake rights for millions. Even though they never owned the lake, I let the silence stretch. This wasn't about dues, I said. This was about a resort deal worth millions. Your board planned to sell something they didn't own. A woman in the third row covered her mouth. Another stood, trembling with anger. Linda tried to grab the microphone, shouting, "He's twisting the facts." "The lake has always been part of enough," a man yelled. "Show us the real proof." "Why didn't we know about this account?" "You lied to all of us." The room turned. Not toward me. Toward them. Linda's voice cracked. We protected this community. But her eyes darted fast, chaotic like a cornered animal. 2 sheriff deputies entered from the back, wearing plain badges and steady expressions. Rachel stepped forward and handed them a folder. Sheriff's office requested immediate evidence once our filings were processed, she told the room. Forgery, fraud, attempted theft, false lien, embezzlement, racketeering. Linda stumbled back a step. Mark sagged into his chair. The deputies approached. Mrs. Harrowan said, "We need you and Mr. Tennant to come with us." Linda's face drained of color. "This is a misunderstanding," she whispered. Mark didn't say a word. He just blinked, fast, empty, defeated. Residents watched in stunned silence as the two were escorted out, handcuffs glinting faintly. A 20-year scheme undone by their own arrogance. When the doors shut, people turned to me. Not with hostility, with guilt, with relief, with gratitude. An older man approached. "We didn't know," he said quietly. "I know," I replied, and I meant it. Weeks later, the lake returned to its peaceful rhythm. The orange stakes were gone. The fraudulent lien erased. The quiet, finally honest again. My father visited one afternoon. We sat on the cedar dock with my old fishing rod and his favorite thermos. "You did good?" he said, voice soft, steady. I looked across the water, sunlight bouncing in warm ripples. Funny how justice doesn't make life louder, it makes it clearer. When someone comes for your home, he added, you don't run, you stand. I nodded. Because this lake, this quiet, this piece of legacy was worth fighting for. If you believe homeowners deserve protection from abusive ISAs, subscribe for more stories. And if you've ever fought something bigger than yourself, tell me in the comments.